Hey, this is JC and welcome to Small Brick City, where we want to help you build a Lego city regardless of the space you have. In this video, we're going to do another building a mock from start to finish. And today we'll be building a Lego mini house. You can check out the free building instructions for this mini house by heading over to smallbrickcity.com or just follow the link in the card above or in the description below. You can request for the plans absolutely free. This video is part one of a two-part series and we'll be focusing on the ground floor of this mini house. So let's get started. The house itself measures only 8 by 8 studs. However, I'll be using a larger base plate so that it can be a standalone build. And there's also another reason, and that's because there's this set of stairs which has to be built into the building, and therefore you need space for that as well. However, if you're to build this yourself, you can use a smaller base plate if you want. However, for purposes of this video, I'll be using these two plates to create a 12 stud by 16 stud base plate. And the first thing I want to do is to use 1 by something plates to mark out the footprint of the building. And I do this regardless of the size of my modular building. But I also have to determine where I want this to be on the plate. And therefore, I'm going to use some tiles to mark out the curbs as well as the sidewalks so I know how far to build in. I'll use these tiles, and these are just temporary, and this is to mark out the front sidewalk, and for the back I think I'll just use this, a 2 by 2 tile. So this is the depth of my house, and that's 8 studs. And let me use a 1 by 8 plate, and I'll set it in by 1 stud on the side, just like that. And I'll use these two 1 by 6 plates to be the width, and I'll finish it off with a 1 by 8 plate, and now I have an 8 by 8 footprint. And there are 3 studs here, and that's for the stairs, because I'll be building the stairs into the house or the exterior wall. So therefore, what I want to do is to be able to have just 3 studs here, and that's enough. So once I've done this, I now want to lay the foundation. And typically what I like to use masonry bricks, but you can use any color bricks. I do suggest a darker tone that is in contrast with the actual color of your walls. But before you lay down a foundation, you do need to get your doors out and figure out the position of the doors. I'm going to place one door here, and generally I do not like to put doors opposite each other directly, so I'm going to offset this and put this to the side like this. So this is exactly how I'm going to do it. This is the back door, that's the brown one that you see, and for the front door we have this nice cheerful yellow door. So once we've got this in place, we can now lay the foundation, and that's what we're going to do. Now that I've laid the foundation, what I want to do is to add another layer of plate. You do not have to do this, I'm just doing this to add some visual texture, and I'm going to contrast it using these dark gray plates. But one thing I want to do is to add a pipe that runs from the ground floor all the way to the second floor. And I do need these modified plates with clips, and I'll put one here, and that will hold the pipe vertically in place later on. And I'll use the rest of the gray plates to cover or layer over the ground brickwork. Now when I'm coming over this side, it's important to remember that the stairs have to be added in, and what I intend to do is to build the stairs in like that, and that would give me enough space to work with. And what I need to do is to add some plates, and let's use 2 plates here stacked together, and that should give me enough height, so that works out. And you can see how that works in. Later on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an additional step using a 1 by 4 plate. That's so that minifigs can comfortably get up. And of course, all this will be tiled later on. But let's not worry about that. We have to worry about the rest of the wall. Let's start off with here, and we're going to use this 1 by 2 brick. Oh, we do need this 1 by 2 gray plate first, so that goes there. And over here would be the same. I would have to put the gray plate in, and that's of course for consistency. So that goes there, and that goes there. Alright, as you build this up, you see what I mean. You can't put the stairs here. You actually have to build the staggered look of the wall first so they can fit in the stairs. So why don't we do that first? So what I do need to do at first, especially for this first step, because this step is one plate high, what we need is a stack of two 1x1 plates to put it over here. And that allows me then to put this at the right height. Can you see that? So once I do that, I can now fill in brick for the rest of this part as well. So over here it's a 1x6. I believe I can put a 1x6 like that. And what I do need again is to stack this up by 2. So now that is in line, and you can see what I'm doing. I'm basically filling the space underneath the stairs, or at least underneath this stud on the left side of the stairs, and I just have to keep building till I get to the top. So what I've done here is to build up the wall, and as you can see from this side, I've built it up staggered so that the left side of this stairs fits on each part of the white wall made of plates. And then I need to build this up the rest of the way as I build this side over here. Now as I come here, I'm thinking of doing something a bit different, and instead of just building a wall, I do want a window, but let's make things interesting. Let's put in a window with a windowsill and some flowers. So what I've got is a 2x2 grey plate and some studs to act as flowers, and that will go over here. And I'll use a 2x2 window to put it over here like that. And just to make things more interesting, rather than just to build it up, because I could easily just take bricks and build this up like that, let's use these curved, I guess these are curved bricks. Yeah, these are curved bricks, and they're on a 1x2 plate that goes on like that, and that forms a bit of an awning which becomes quite interesting. I will need to build this up in just a bit, but before we do that, let's build the rest of the wall here so that we can get all this in line. That's why I didn't add any plate here, because as you can see, I've now made this all flush. And anytime you build, as far as possible, you want to overlap over joints. So this is an opportunity for me to overlap the joints here so that this particular wall here can be built solid with the side wall here. And to do that, we'll use a 1x3 brick. And then I can fill this gap with a 1x4. Notice, of course, the door frame is slightly lower, so we will have to add plates over this in just a bit. But let's start building this side over here first. And let's add another layer of bricks first, and I'll use white bricks. As I build this and I look, I'm thinking we do want to have windows here, and that's why I always do the minifig test. And that is to take a minifig and to place him inside whatever you're building to see where everything is in relation to the minifig. Now if I look at it this way, I do feel that if I were to put a window in now, it is going to be too high. We can only see the head of the minifig, and generally for at least the side windows, I like them to have be lower, about waist height of the minifig, which means I will have to remove some of these bricks in order to build in the window. That's why the minifig test is so important. And I've got some windows here, and I've got these jumper plates, and the reason I have the jumper plates is I want to offset the window just to give it some texture. So by putting the jumper plates on like that, this creates an offset when I put the windows on, just like that. And I've placed jumper plates on top to put the offset back in. And now if you look, you can see the window is not in line with this lower brick. It's been offset by half a stud. So this makes it nice because it protrudes out just a bit, gives it a bit of texture. And then when we come back here, we need to be able to build the rest of the wall of the house up. Therefore, you need to push back the offset by half a stud, and that's why you put back the jumper plates as well. With that in mind, and now I can see how I need to build this up, and that's how I'm going to build it up. I'll put it up together just like that. Over this side, I just need a couple of 2x2s, so we can come up here like that. And now let's go for some variance and some difference once again. Anytime I like to do a build, I do try to think of a way to make things more interesting, and that is to add some kind of dimension or some kind of difference. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove 2 bricks like that. Let's get that out. And let's put some modified bricks like that. These are light gray modified bricks, and I've put them in just to create a visual difference. Again, this is optional and you can use any color you like, but this kind of breaks up the monotony of all the white, and that's pretty nice. Now I can build this up just like that, but again, I like to do things a bit differently. So let's do this. Let's put in an air conditioning unit. Now to do that, I need to create a shelf. So I've got a 2x2 plate here with 2 of these corner plates. So this is going to go on somewhat probably this way. I do need to fill in the space there, so I do need a 1x1 stud. But remember, I have a clip over here, so this is a great opportunity to put in another modified plate with a clip, but in white this time. And these are the clips for the vertical shaft of the drainage pipe. And this will allow me to probably build this in like that. Now that works. We can now fill in the space with bricks, and what we need to do is make all this level. So as you can see from here, we will need a 1x4 white plate, and that would hold this entire assembly of jumper plates together as well. But now you can see we've got things in line. So let's see if we can fill this up and just layer this up so that we can create a nice level all the way. So we can put this over here and put another 1x1 brick over here, and here we need another plate to level things together, and we'll need one more plate over here to level things together as well. And there we have this basis of the ground floor, as you can see. Now we just look around, everything looks in place. We've got this secure. So what we need to do now is to secure everything together, and that is to take a layer of plates and to secure all the joints of these bricks so that it's nice and firm. As I'm building this, I'm looking at this, and I do have to remember that I have to build the stairs, or the top of the stairs, into the build as well. So what I'm going to do is to just backtrack just a bit, and I want to create a bit of a landing, and I've got this over here. What I can do is I can build a landing that looks something like that, so it's not dependent on building in, although you could, I guess, if you really want to build the landing into this, but I've chosen not to do that, and that is just an option. And I'm using two 2x3 plates and a 1x3 plate to create this landing over here, and you can see this underneath. I just want to hold that in place, and I'm going to use this 1x2 plate to hold the plate from underneath, and then to hold the plate from above, I'm just going to use a 2x4 plate like that, and a 1x4 plate here. So I've created this landing that is really secure, and now I can complete the rest of this to build onto this without any interference from here. So here we have almost the completed structure, I guess you'd call it. But now that I'm looking at it, I'm thinking of something else as well, because I'm always thinking ahead, especially for the interior as I build up. And this is generally how I build as well. I would always build up, and then when I think about the interior, I'll think, hey, I need to have some kind of wall decoration over here. So I want to put a clock or maybe a painting over here. Therefore, I will need to put a modified brick like this inside. And I think I can put one here. So therefore, what I need to do is to take this out and replace this 1x4 plate or 1x4 brick over here with a 1x2 modified brick with studs on the side and a 1x2 brick. And then now I can put everything back, and the white plates overlap, creating a secure fit. But now I have this in place to put my clock when I need it later on when I do the interior decoration. So this works. Now to finish up any modular building, what you need to do is to tile this entire area. I'm going to create jumper plates, not using jumper plates, but just 1x1 studs, because this is such a small build, and I'm going to layer this so it's ready to be a modular. So let's do that now. So this is how I've chosen to lay out my tiles with the jumper plates, and so that is when I build the second floor, I can just put it on top and it's held together by these studs. You can place these studs anywhere you like. I'll just suggest placing them diagonally opposite from each other. So there we have the basic structure of the house. What I want to do now is to do some of the detailing, and let's start off with the inside before we go to the outside. So we open the doors, we need to figure out how we want to detail this, and that's to determine what we want to put inside. And I've already decided what I'm going to have. I'm going to have this stove with an oven, a little cabinet, a trash can will be on the outside, and we will put this sink that I have over here. So first thing I have to do is to figure out where I'm going to put the items, and generally when you build any small build like that, the most logical is to place them against the wall. And since this is so small, it's going to be pretty simple to determine where they go. So I think the counter and the stove should go together, and the sink would just go naturally in this corner, and that basically leaves me with just a little space to put everything in. So what I'm going to do now is to place these down, and then I'm going to use some tiles to cover up the inside of the floor, and I'll put some jumper plates just to make things interesting so that I can stand some minifigs. So to make this easier, you can break this apart, and let's see, I can do that. Let me just break this apart just a bit, and that'll make it easier to put the internal details, and then we will see how it goes. So what I've done here is to do some interior tiling. I did a combination of light grey and black 1x1 tiles here, and just white tiles here with a jumper plate for a minifig to stand. You can of course switch this around. I believe in the first time I built this, I put this in the middle here. Again, it's up to you, it's just for contrast. Here it looks a bit like a welcome tile. So once you've done the interior, and I've also put the clock in place, you can build up the rest of the wall back. So now that we have built everything back together, we can concentrate on the exterior details. Let's start off with this air conditioning unit here. What I did is I put together a very simple unit using this modified bricks. This is a 2x2 modified bricks. Put a grill and this turntable piece here, and that looks like an air conditioning compressor, a small one, and we place that right there. That really works very well and very realistic. The next thing I want to do is to detail this area over here. What I want to do is to add a safety railing, and I've actually pre-built it over here. It uses these telescope pieces, several different plates and tiles on top, and that creates the safety railing just like that. I didn't extend the railing over here because later on for the second floor there will be a door which opens up, and if we put this railing here, the door will not be able to open up. So what I've done is to create a shorter railing system, or really it's just a foot guard using studs and this 1x2 cheese wedge piece, and that goes there. So it acts as a bit of a safety barrier as well, but it allows the door to pass over it later on. Now let's go to the exterior, and let's start off here. This is a great spot for a garden of sorts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of these green plates to create a garden, a very short garden. But I'll just do that there, and I'll use a 1x8 here. And then I can put a trash can, and randomly I can just put a couple of these flowers and grass parts just to give it a bit of texture and just to break up that plain green plate there. Now let's move on to this area here, or let's think about the stairs first. Before we do that, I want to create another step. Remember I told you, and I'll use a 1x3 plate with a 1x3 tile, just like that. Now I will build this over here in just a bit because I will be building everything over. Well, actually this is built wrong. This should have been a 1x2 and not a 2x2. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, I'm gonna open this up without breaking things too much. Yeah, and I managed to do that. Luckily, this here should be a 1x2 underneath, And you'll see why in just a bit. And the reason is because I want to have that additional step level with the tiled sidewalk in front. Okay, so I've successfully ripped that out. Let's put this here and carefully put everything back. Now, if this is the first time you have watched me build, you might think that it's very destructive and a bit backwards at times, but I generally like to build with bricks. That means with the tactile feeling of the bricks. I don't build in a digital design. In fact, I build first and then we come up with the digital plans. That means that I always go back and forth with my steps. But I find this the best way for me, and also the best way for me to build. So what I've done is now lowered this so that when I have this additional step, see, it's on the right level with the sidewalk later on. So what I need to do is to put a 1x1 stud here, and then I can put this on just like that. And I want to tile this up as well, so I'll use 1x3 gray tiles, and I will put it on just like that. And this just gives you a nice finish. You do not have to do this for stairs, but if you do have the tiles, it's a nice idea because you get a very nice finish. And for the top over here, I'm going to finish this off with a 2x2 tile and a 1x2 tile, just for the sake of completeness. You could put a jumper plate here if you want to stand a minifig, but that's fine for me. And let's just put this back here as well. So we're almost done. What I need to do now is just to finish the sidewalk. I want to put this lamppost in place here, and let's switch things up here. Let's take this 1x6 and put it here. And why don't we put it here, and then I can put this 1x2, and that's just to put a little gutter drain here. And for the back, we'll put this here, and we'll do the same but on the opposite side. So I can put another grill piece here, and this goes here. That works. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to fill up all the space with dark gray tiles to act as the sidewalk, and I'll put in some jumper plates as well. And here we have the completed ground floor of the mini house. As you can see, I've completely done the sidewalks. I did move the light gray tiles just for better alignment, but we've got jumper plates and I've covered everything. I placed a little drainage cover here in form of a 1x2 dark gray grill piece, and that's because this is going to be a drainage pipe, so water naturally should flow in there. And the back is also similar, a bit of a mirror image from the front. And there we have, it's all nicely complete. This is the end of part 1. Do you have any questions, and if you've got any clarifications that you'd like me to make, please let me know in the comments as well. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't, please subscribe to the channel, and do look out for part 2 where we complete this mini house. Talk to you soon.